Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing about Mold-Tek technologies. So first thing first, let us understand what do they do, right? So Mold-Tek technologies has two divisions. Okay, one is a civil engineering division and the other is mechanical engineering division. Okay, is civil engineering contributes 75% of the book and the mechanical engineering division contributes 25% of the book. Now, what does the civil engineering division means? You would have seen, right? If let's say there is a you have to construct a building, right? You're not just going to not just, it's not about buying a land and constructing. You'll need civil engineers over there to first design. You'll have this software such as CATIA and CAD and all the other softwares that are there. You will have to see first you'll have to do a detailed drawing in your computer, as to what will be the load here, what will be the failure, what will be the tensile strength that each of these building blocks needs for it to be a really great structure, right? So this is what they do. You must have seen if you are working probably in Scient or I don't know, the other companies that are there, this is usually what they do. I mean, even Scient is their number one competitor. When it comes to in terms of mechanical engineering, again the same thing, right? Let's say when you design a vehicle and before it goes even to the first production, right, what happens? You'll design it in your laptop and you'll see kitna loads hai. Let's say for truck, you'll first create it in your software, right? It could be any software. If you're checking the fluid motions, it could be hypermesh also. So what you'll do, you'll first design it in the software to see kaisa lag raha hai structure. Let's say if gaadi पीछे से गाड़ी अगर hit हो रहा है what is the force at which this गाड़ी will break, or it could be the fluidity you check kitna what is the airflow, what is the pressure that this vehicle can handle, right? So this is what they do. The competitive advantage they have is whether it is in terms of civil or whether it is in terms of mechanical engineering division is, if you go to the US, these kind of jobs are high paying jobs. The labor cost is really high. So the companies that are there, they outsource this job to Indian offices. And here, because the labor is very cheap relatively compared to the US, this is where their advantage lies, right? So this is what they mainly do. You can just check in detail if I have to explain what Mold-Tek technologies in my Q1FY24 workshop. Just go to my YouTube and you'll have a playlist over there. Now let us come to Q2FY24. Okay. So first thing first, in Q1FY24, you saw that the company had given guidance. Okay. They told the civil engineering part of the book will grow by 25 to 30%, and the mechanical engineering jo hai, even that will grow, I think, around the same rate. That is what they, I think, though mechanical engineer, I think they targeted more than 40%. But this was the most, because this was the guidance given. But now what has happened is in Q2FY24, if you see, the company has really failed to achieve that guidance. That is number one thing. Take care. And the other thing is, if you look at companies like Mold-Tek Technologies, since they're heavily dependent on, let's say, US and Europe to get the clients, then what happens because of their structure, their financial year starts from Jan and ends in December. So what happens for these people, the invoicing gets better as the quarter progresses. Like Q1 could be a bit weak, Q2 is stronger, Q3 is even stronger, Q4 is the best quarter, like that. So that is the thing. So relatively, Q2 should have been better than Q1, but that has not been the case. Okay. Now, if I have to go to the result, like I told you, right? The revenue has been very mediocre revenue, because I think last time the revenue grew around 27%. अगर आप इस समय देखते हो, you'll see that the revenue grew by hardly 15% on a year-on-year basis and up by 7.2% on a QOQ basis. PAT भी उतना नहीं बढ़ा. PAT is also around 18.6% year-on-year, and then it is up by 29% on a QOQ basis. ठीक है. So on a glance, if you have to see, the result has been a bit okay. Like you can understand, sometimes there could be a quarter may some discrepancies, but that has not been the case. I'll tell you why. Because, like I told you, right, there are two divisions for them. One is civil engineering division, and the other one is your mechanical engineering division. Now, you need the civil engineering also to grow at a faster rate, because this is a huge part of the book, right? You're talking about 70 to 75% of the book is coming from civil engineering. So you need this to grow at a faster rate. More mechanical engineering, even if it grows at 40% or 50%, ultimately, it will not be as fruitful as civil engineering. And what is the one thing I told first? They told last quarter civil engineering will grow 25 to 30%. Now the management comes and revises the guidance, telling civil engineering में तो हम सिर्फ 10 और 15% पे ही grow कर सकते हैं. And what I also do not like about the management is they deny the fact. The analyst repeatedly asked last time you told it will grow by 25 to 30%, and now you're telling 10 to 15% for the entire year. And the management told no, we never mentioned that. And the analyst continue to argue, and then they were like, oh, we must have misspoken it. I mean, how can you misspoke anything? Like how can you even do that when you're like on a public platform and like discussing things with people who are putting their hard-earned money behind your company, right? So this is one thing, like a huge red flag. One now, if you have to talk about the order book also, ठीक है, order book भी अगर आप देखते हो civil engineering में, Q2 FY23 में उसका order book था 3 million, and now right now the order book for civil engineering in this quarter has been 3.2 million, right? So again, nothing great happening here. अगर आप mechanical engineering division में देखते हो, this has been performing really well because as you all know, right, हम लोग auto cycle में है, auto cycle चल रहा है, SUV और PV cycle में, if you see all these SUV and the passenger vehicles, especially the SUV reach, they're all doing well, right? There's a lot of demand. So this mechanical division of the book is growing, right? Last time it was 0.7 million, and right now the pipeline, last time the work in hand is 0.7 million, but pipeline mein 1.5 million. So that is doing really well. But like I told you, so 25% of the book is there, so it is not fruitful also. Okay. And another thing is, because mechanical division, jo bhi bolo, it is a very small, the base is very small for them, and they recently started it. I think around 3 to 4 years back they started it. So the base is extremely small for them too. That is why agar wo 20%, 30% भी ज्यादा ही change लगता है यहाँ पे, ठीक है. So that is there. The other thing, I mean, this is the main update. I mean, there is nothing to look forward to at the end of the day कि like जब एक company guidance को revise करता है, ठीक है, because आप जो भी बोलो कि like you're indirectly telling me कि like आगे जाके growth में problem हो सकता है. आपको top line will not grow at the same pace. Your bottom line also will be affected as a result of this. This is an indirect way of a company telling you कि like going forward things will not be good. Even in terms of their civil engineering, like I told you, right? If you have to talk about the demand, mechanical engineering में demand तो है, there is no problem. You're seeing it even in terms of order book. Also, order book is increasing. But here in civil engineering, order book पे उतना it has been around flat. The other thing is, when you talk about the demand over there is a slowdown in the activity. जो भी US, since these people cater mainly to the US, in the US construction जो है, there is a slowdown in activity, especially in this commercial and high building arena, ठीक है. And this is their niche area, by the way, for Mold-Tek Technologies. They had constructed a huge warehouse for Amazon, and I think a huge building, like I do not remember how many floors, but this is what they got it done for another reputed company. So the fact that their main operation is also affected, it is not looking good. It is not looking good in any way for these people, okay? Like unka civil engineering ka guidance to ghataya hai, and the other thing is like the demand for the civil engineering is not looking good, and overall it seems like a jo bhi growth aane wala hai in the coming quarters, it will be coming from this very small part of the book by mechanical division, okay? The other thing is, last time they were talking about an acquisition, ठीक है. Right now they are into doing this civil engineering thing. अगर ये लोग acquisition करें, they want to do it in this architectural structural design में, ठीक है. There, what is happening, if you get both of these combined, you'll become like a one-stop shop for your client. And here they're looking forward to like acquire, let's say, an already established company, because if you have to like go and start from first, you have to build a company and everything, it will take around 9 to 10 years for you to get that reputation. Versus, let's say you already are acquiring a company, there is resources and everything, it becomes easier for you to penetrate in that area. That is number one thing, okay? The other thing is, अगर आप US में construction करते हो, it could be a small building, yeah, it could be a big building, ठीक है? It could be a 30-story building also. It doesn't matter. You have to get all this. There are certain guidelines to be done. You need an engineer, in the sense, a person who has gone to college, got that exact qualification, certain years of work experience. This person has to apply for a licensing, and you need this person. You need to have this licensed engineer to approve all these buildings, to be working on the field and everything, okay? So this is very, very necessary for them, and it also has to be an American citizen also, like one American citizen and one foreigner is okay. So as a result, this, by acquiring a foreign firm, for them it becomes easier, for them with all the process, and they're looking forward to this acquisition. I think from last quarter there has been no update. The tone remains the same, like we will acquire, and we are looking forward to. Again, there also nothing great happening. But overall, like I told you, the huge red flag right now, the huge red flag is the fact that the guidance has been revised in the huge part of the book. Civil engineering, like I told you, they are telling they will grow by 10% for the overall year, versus, let's say, they did for 25 to 30% last time they guided for. You are also seeing that being reflected in terms of number. It literally went from a 27% for growth engines to, let's say, 25%, take care. And they're telling like MES jo hai, unka mechanical engineer will continue continued to grow at the same rate. Like this time in this quarter, MES ka jo division hai, it grew by 59% on a year-on-year basis. They're telling approximately in that range only it will grow. Okay. The yeah, and civil engineering to grow 3%. So again, 10% they'll do. In H1 it grew by 3%. So they have to clock in like 7% of the growth. Okay. The last thing is, company is targeting an overall growth around 15 to 25%, and उनका bottom line जो देखते हो, they're targeting around 30 to 40%. Because here, अगर आप mechanical engineering में देखते हो उनका, they are doing body in white, they're doing certain simulations. Simulations का मतलब क्या है? Let's say if you have a गाड़ी, and let's say how the airflow will be, how the pressure will be, right? All of these things you do. You could do either in ANSYS or Hypermesh. These are the different softwares that they do in. These, let's say if like, I think you can just go on YouTube, simulations in cars, like the testing that they do, like, what will be the impact of force and all of these things. These people, these are very niche areas, and that is why they're higher margin. That is why they're so confident about doing a bottom line. But overall, you do understand it. Pehle aap bol rahe ho ki like, even here in Concall also you can see कि like pehle in the starting he told कि like, हम लोग अपना top line तो grow करेंगे like 25 to 30, around 20 to 25%. And then they change it and tell कि like again in the same con call and they tell to 15 to 20%. So I believe management is very flaky in terms of like, again they might come next quarter and be like, हमने तो ये guidance ही नहीं दिया था, just like how they did this quarter. So overall, a very disappointing result, one thing. And the second thing, the revision of guidance, the fact that a revision of guidance is not at all good for an investor. Okay? Always remember this. If a company is increasing its guidance, it's telling, we are able to do more. Like this time, if you look at Som Distilleries told, they had given a guidance that they will do 1000 C, I think, I do not know by which year, but anyways, I'll just brush up on it. But they increase the guidance कि like हम 1200 crores करेंगे, ठीक है? So this is indirectly telling you कि like आगे जाके आप हमसे ज़्यादा growth expect कर सकते हो. And someone telling you कि like 25 to 30% था earlier, अब हम तो 10% ही करेंगे. This is really a bad news for the investor. So yeah, overall that has been the how do I put you, more or less what has been happening with the company. And the fact that the demand is also not looking good is really not a positive side. This is why I keep telling you all, like continue to track, because it's not just about the guidance. एक management आके जो भी बोल सकते हैं, आके भी बोल सकते हैं कि like हम top line को 60% से grow करेंगे, right? But it is important for us to see why I tell you to track is for the same reason, because market will react when you tell कि like आप 60% से grow करेगो, market will react, ठीक है? And after that, if you do not perform, similarly at the same time, the market will also punish you for not performing. That is why it is very important for each and every one of us, whatever company you hold, whatever company you plan to invest in, continue to track it. Make sure it's not just about the guidance, it's about the execution also. कि like जो भी guidance वो एक company दे रहा है, उसको execute भी करना चाहिए. That is why to see if the execution is there, if the management is walking the talk or not, I keep reiterating the fact that, continue to track the business. Because if you do not continue, what would have happened? You would be stuck today, like let's say with Mold-Tek Technologies, you think the company would grow by 25 to 30%, but the disappointment is it's hardly growing by 15%, right? So this is why whatever you have, continue to track it. And having said that, I'll see you again, yeah, today only. Take care. Bye.